These are our two candidates for Hays County Judge. Our first Democratic candidate for Hays County Judge is Rubin Becerrra. Rubin is a small business owner from San Marcos. He is running to restore confidence, transparency, community building, and good fiscal stewardship to the Commissioner's Court.
Yesterday's movement, Women's March, can I see an applause? Who was there? Worth it, absolutely worth it. My wife and I, lifelong Democrats. On my first date, I took my wife of 25 years, my biggest fan, she calls herself. Anyway, 25 years married. The first date we took was to go see Al Gore. I said, hey, I want to go introduce you to Al Gore. So that was a lucky cool break. My two sons, we've taken them to Austin. They were raised in San Marcos, but we've taken them to Austin to protest the Cesar Chavez Si Se Puede march. So we totally agree and totally understand everything that it takes to be properly represented. We've helped Democrats nonstop throughout. I have a wonderful history of being caring and understanding of people. My parents, and I didn't think this was a thing until recently. My parents, I grew up from a two-family income, both union workers, and I never really paid attention to it, but they're union workers. I had a paper route from the very young age when the paper bags were in the front and in the back and used to throw them out on the bicycle. They don't do that anymore. I was a dishwasher at a local diner. Talk about hot and steamy and terrible. But the truth is, it's been a real good ride because my mother said this: the best legacy I can give you is work ethic. And that's what I bring to the table, and I am a working class person. Am I up on time? Here we go. I'm a working class person, and I've done a lot of things all my life, and they've all been for community. I've raised my family in San Marcos, and almost the entire 2 decades that we've lived there, I've volunteered in boards and commissions, and I've been the chair of virtually all of it. I've been so fortunate that people have seen leadership in me, and I help organizations to do good things for our community. Currently, I'm the chair of the bond committee for our school's bond that just passed. But here's one more thing: I appreciate the small things in people, and I think that's a big piece. So they went through the trouble and put this paper up. Can you guys just use it once? Let's do the blue wave. There you go. That's cool. Someone took the time to do that. And so when I walked in with my family and our blue shirts, they said, when we saw you walk in, we saw a blue wave. And you know what? That's cool, because that's what I represent. I've always been a Democrat, and it's cool to be a Democrat today, nevertheless, but I'm a proud Democrat, and I want to do everything I can to turn this baby blue. Thank you.
Abel says he decided to run for county judge 5 years ago. He did not have to be convinced to run for office, nor did he seek counsel from members of the Democratic Party or prominent members of the Republican Party. This decision was his alone. His years as a public servant are many, 40 in all, but he wishes to serve just a few more years before his last salute. Goodbye. So,
things that I've seen over my years in Hays County. As I said, I worked there 10 years. And I worked with Connie, I worked with everybody else that's there. But there were some things that I saw that really needed to change. And I'm going to go over these here today, okay? And I wrote them down because I think they're important. And I didn't want to miss anything. So I'm going to go ahead and start. My priorities are as follows. First, we need to restore honor, integrity, and dignity back in the Commissioner's Court. We also need to look at our financials, all right? We need to be fiscally responsible. And we also need to look at transparency, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go over some things real quick. This is what I feel we really need. Now, to restore honor back in our Commissioner's Court, we need to be honest about our intentions. We need to put our cards on the table. We need to have open discussions. We need to make every attempt to include minorities and women in each and every committee we create, in every decision that affects our neighborhoods, in every aspect of daily life. Our Commissioner's Court must be a tolerant court, respectful of the opinions of the people and their understanding of our intentions. To restore integrity, we must change how we conduct the people's business by making ourselves available to those we serve, regardless of which precinct we're in. The people's perspective of our we must change the people's perspective of our Commissioner's Court as an arrogant, selfish, and egotistical group. To restore integrity, we must change how Commissioner's Court currently presents its agenda to the voters and when and where and what time the court is held. We must allow for the people to present their opinions as facts as they see them before the court by making Commissioner's Court accessible to them on their time, not ours. Now, we also need to restore dignity, ladies and gentlemen. We must make ourselves available to the people by staying within our precinct boundaries as often as possible. We must be visible by maintaining the same hours as of business as our employees from 8 to 5. We must be present at all functions of necessity for the business of the people. And then most of all, we need to be whole by taking responsibility for the failures of the Commissioner's Court and for abusing the people's authority. Regarding fiscal responsibility, we must acknowledge the abuse of power by our Commissioner's Court, our failure to place checks and balances for each and every transaction. We must acknowledge the Commissioner's Court's philosophy that running a political entity like a business is a ruse and nothing more than deception tied to the abuse of power and privilege. We must look at transparency was limited for the benefit of Commissioner's Court and members of special interest groups. The employees of the inner circle were rewarded with advancement in profit, and members of committees were chosen to favor a particular outcome. But when it comes to transparency, ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing out there you shouldn't be able to have within the law or within the limits. But it shouldn't take you a week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks to get it, and you shouldn't have to pay for it. Your taxes pay for this. Ladies and gentlemen, regarding my qualifications, well, I have them. I spent 10 years with the Hays County as a risk manager, or you want to call me a safety specialist, it's cheaper. Ladies and gentlemen, please vote for me. My name is Abel Velasquez, and have a good day.
All right, does anyone have any questions for the candidates?
Good afternoon. Is this on? Can you hear me now? This question is very selfish for me because in 11 months I hope to be standing in the court with one of you two. Both of you, I regard both of you as good Democrats and good friends. My question for you is, we spoke about the entrenched and the disrespectful court that it is, and the new manifestation with the candidates that are there look to be worse on their side. How do you intend to win? How can you win in November? How are you going to get there? Tell us about your strategy to get there.
Well, first of all, to win, we have to, as I said, to win, we have to be honest about our intentions, ladies and gentlemen. And my intentions are this: I'm going to provide you with as much information as I can. Not the stuff, transparency is going to be what I feel you need to see or you would like to see. All right? We can do it. We have to be honest. We can't lie about our intentions or what we plan on doing with money and then come back and say, well, I've got $32 million extra that, well, they're unaccounted for, but we'll come up with something. That's not what people want to hear. We need to take it to the next level. We need buy-in from the people, and that's something Commissioner's Court doesn't have because they've been underhanded for so many years. I want to go in there and change. I want to work with these new people that come in. If we do get this blue wave, I was there 10 years, ladies and gentlemen. I can teach 3 new people what we have to do in court and how we can work as a team to make things happen for everybody, not just somebody or special interest groups. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Omar. I have a really good paved road to November 2018 to take this wave that is here and is happening to the people and bring it up to represent everyone in the county, because at this moment in time, the representation is anemic at best. And so what we have done is we've teamed up with people because as the youngest of 5, I learned how to get along as fast as I can and grab the support of those around me, or you get knocked in the head once or twice. And so here's the truth. I have gotten everyone that I know that is doing things in our community, that is interested, that is engaged, and that is passionate to help our campaign. We have a strong sign team. We just got a whole huge amount of signs installed in Dripping Springs for us. We have signs in Buda, 4x8s, the big mothers. 4x8s in Buda, Kyle, San Marcos, Wimberley, you're coming up this week, and I thank you if you have sign locations. I already got some. And we have campaign headquarters. We have a rally for Rubin, February 3rd at the VFW in San Marcos. We have a whole slew of good things happening, guys, so thank you. That's our roadmap.
Okay, any more questions? We do indeed.
Yes, I'm Nancy Russell. My question is for both candidates. I would like to hear more about the specific qualities you each have that would make you a fair and knowledgeable judge.
Thank you. Rubin?
Fair and knowledgeable. The most important thing I can share about that is all my life I am third generation hospitality. The most important thing I can say is, as I started earlier, I see the small stuff. I value the effort in people. I see you as a person. So just to say that my looking glass is one with which you will be seen for all of your value as a person, as a citizen of Hays County, I think that's a great start, because currently our Commissioner's Court doesn't have that. If you disagree with Commissioner's Court, they'll be interested in arresting you. Qualifications, I've been a planning and zoning commissioner for years, which brought a lot of training to me. I've chaired policy commissions for the Blue Ribbon Bond Committee, that's a mouthful, sorry. The Blue Ribbon Bond Committee for the City of San Marcos, which is a multi-million-dollar project to roll out our money. And so I have chaired down from Main Street Advisory Board, all the boards and commissions, and interacting with people one-on-one and making sure they're happy and represented is my qualification.
May I hear the question again, please? Did she leave? Did she leave? What was that question? Sorry? Oh, qualifications. All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Once again, I worked for Hays County 10 years. And in those 10 years, ladies and gentlemen, I traveled throughout Hays County, Dripping Springs, Wimberley, Driftwood. I was all over the place, East Side. And I learned a lot. And you learn a lot not by sitting at your desk or sitting behind the bench on Commissioner's Court. You learn by going out there and talking to the people and working with the employees that work out in the fields, because they can tell you a lot of things. If you want to know about something, don't go ask the commissioner, he doesn't know a damn thing. You go out there and talk to the people that work for him, the road and bridge, your maintenance department, people that are all over the place. Well, what I did learn, ladies and gentlemen, is I learned a little bit about everything. But what I learned most of is how to politic with these people. Because sometimes you just got to have that little bit more than the next guy. And that little bit more means I know something that you don't, all right? In this particular case, I've got 10 years of, you talk about somebody did something for everybody, I've done it, man. 30 years in the service and 10 with Hays County. Talk about public service, I'll never volunteer again, I'll be able to tell you. All right, my name is Abel Velasquez, and don't forget to vote, all right? Thank you.
More questions?
Hi, Abel and Rubin. Jamie here. Jamie Sutton from San Marcos. My question is an opportunity for both of you to use the 60 seconds to reiterate to this audience your priorities as county judge. I want to hear your priorities.
Okay, the question was priorities for the judge position. Go ahead. I'll go first. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. There's a list of priorities. My first one would be, I'm going to say more than three though. My first one would be to change the tone and the culture of the Commissioner's Court. Right now, it's a crapshoot if you're going to be assaulted or not, and that's not cool. So changing the tone of the Commissioner's Court is my first priority. My second priority is protecting our natural resources that we can't get back once you pave over recharge zones. Once it's gone, you're done. My third priority is bring commuter rail back. I don't know why they got rid of it. We need to go right back into it and say we need it. We live between Austin and San Antonio, and let me tell you, in this region, we absolutely need it, and we need to bring it back and get rid of it for selfish reasons. Thank you. And the fourth one, taxation. We are taxed to death. We need to stop it.
Thank you for that. Thank you for the question. Now, my priorities were, as I said, restoring honor, dignity, and integrity to Commissioner's Court, transparency, and fiscal responsibility. Those are the things we need. The reason they dropped rail, and I was there when we were doing this, the reason they dropped rail, commuter rail, we didn't have the funds to support commuter rail. Let me tell you what we're at right now, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we need somebody that's experienced. In principal bonds, you owe $455 million. In interest, you owe $228,670,000, and your total payment, as it stands right now, you almost owe $250 million. If you want commuter rail, it's going to cost you a little bit more than that. We need to watch what we have, all right? We need to make sure that whatever we build or whatever we plan for the future is built where we actually need it, not where we want to have it 20 years from now. Today, 35 is probably one of the most congested highways there is. From Buda to San Marcos, I drove it for a whole year. There were times that I couldn't go from Ben White to Kyle in like 20, 30 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. It's that bad, and that's where we need to concentrate, the places where we need it, not where we want it. Thank you very much.
Question?
Hey there. I'm Lori Olson. My question is, you alluded a little bit to it, Rubin. I wanted to hear from you both about whether you would support a tens of millions of dollars of a new open space bond for Hays County. It's been several years since we had that type of environmental open space money available to the county. We were able to do some great things with it. Blue Hole and Jacob's Well and Wimberley Preserve with that funding. And it's time to do another one, and I want to know if you guys will support that and just your theory on that as a way to combat all the growth that's obviously occurring here.
So the question is about open space in our county. So Abel, you want to take that?
All right. A few years ago, we received a grant. It's about $127 million. I really forget what number it was. But that money went out to various projects. And one of those projects was 5 Mile Dam, Blue Hole, and Jacob's Well. On Jacob's Well alone, we spent over $5 million. And on Blue Hole, we spent $2 million, and about another $5 million on 5 Mile Dam. We put a lot of money out there on dams. And keep in mind, there's also trails and things of that nature. We can do it, ladies and gentlemen. But let me tell you this, and this is very important to hear. There is not one park. There is not one swimming pool. There is not one recreational area. There is no 4-lane highway on the east side of Hays County. And I want you to know those people pay taxes too. If we're going to dish out more park funds, we need to dish it out where there isn't any, all right? Thank you.
I agree that Precinct 1, Commissioner Inglesby, awesome person. She is in a place where we need more parkland in that space, absolutely. But the answer is yes, I support it wholeheartedly. And how we can help fund such a thing would be to get rid of corporate welfare. We need to stop giving developments money to come into our community and pave over environmentally sensitive areas. That's how you do it.
Question?
Yes, hi, I'm Roseanne Willett from Dripping Springs. I'm fairly new to Texas and to this voting process that you have. And as early in my career when I was a legal secretary, to me, judge, I worked for one, meant a lawyer. And what I'm hearing from the questions and the answers, it's a very basic fundamental question, but I still have no idea, based on the answers, what does a Hays County judge do? What are your responsibilities?
Okay, the question is, what does a Hays County judge do? Okay, so you're on.
The Hays County judge, which I feel is part of the problem and lack of transparency in our current county government, I'll say it this way, I'll start with this. If you go to the website of the Hays County and you look for that job description, you're not going to find it. If you look for a commissioner's job description, you're not going to find it. So I'm not surprised that we have someone in the audience asking, what does a Hays County judge do? An easy summary is it's administrative. You're not judicial, although you can be if you go to judge school. Nevertheless, it's more of an administrative role where you're going over budgets and you're helping to shape the budget for the sheriff's department, the constable's office, the health department, ever so important with this flu epidemic going on, their budget, and making sure that our roads, it's PI, protection, infrastructure, and economic development. We help oversee that in the whole county.
There are 5 roles that the county judge is responsible for. The first one is he's in charge of Commissioner's Court. He presides over Commissioner's Court. The second one is he does have judicial duties if he chooses to, but they're probate court type, all right? He's also in charge of emergency management. That's one of his main jobs here. Now, just real quick here, he also represents, as Rubin has said, administrative issues that he does. He takes care of that, and something that Rubin just said here. But there's way more to that, ladies and gentlemen. The budget, he's also the budget officer in communities with populations of less than 225,000 people, and guess who that is? That's Hays County. That would be one of our jobs. But he's more than that. He's that one person that controls how the commissioner's court is run. He also has a lot of influence, not in a particular precinct, but in every precinct, because he does not represent any one precinct. He represents all of Hays County. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Any more questions? All right.
I'm Kathy Thomas. And I live over in Dripping Springs. Water there, as here, is an issue. I'd like to know what you're thinking about in terms of water for Hays County. There's subdivisions going in. I know one of them, Calaterra, has just been promised water to 2030. What happens whenever that water runs out? What are you doing, and how will you make that change? Thank you.
Any questions about water? Abel?
That's been an ongoing fight the whole time I was at Hays County, 10 years of it, and it's still going on. That's a tough one because it's expensive. It isn't cheap. A few years ago, we tried to bring water down from, if y'all remember the Forestal contract, 4-star water. We were supposed to bring, 45,000 acre feet of water from the Buda area, Pine Creek. Well, we lost out on that one. We lost it by $1.5 million. They never got a drop of water. Thank you. Now, what we're going to do, we need to work on this together. The question you need to ask yourselves is, what am I willing to do in order to get water where I need it? Heaven knows how many water wells we have here in Hays County, but what are you owners willing to do to bring water? Are you willing to regulate yourselves? What is it you want to do? Because the people up and down 35, when I speak to them, one thing they get upset about is, why do I have to stop watering my lawn? Why do I have to stop washing my car for others to use my water? We need to work together on this if we're going to find a solution, ladies and gentlemen. And my idea is I'm going to come out to you. I don't want to talk to your council members. I want to talk to you, the individual. Thank you, man.
I know 35 is being brought up a few times, and one of the things that the intro 3 minutes is good, but the snapshot answers, I'm trying to hurry. I will be truthful on that part, but I do want to say, we also don't want toll roads up and down 35. That's ridiculous. And so that's got to do with, in part, this whole people moving into our county. Something that's not being discussed or mentioned in many settings is, never mind getting the water, which is expensive, what are you going to do when it gets done being used? Right now, they have really good ideas that could very much endanger our streams and creeks and rivers and our recharge zone. And so I think that we need to find an intelligent way to design, because we can design everything. We took a man to the moon, guys. Don't forget that. We got to design an intelligent way to say, okay, here's the water you have. How will you process it and return it, reuse it, and be more sensitive to the environment that you live in, so that it's not just piped down the street, halfway decent and polluting everyone around them.
All right, that concludes our conversation here with two people who are looking to become judge for Hays County. And it was great to listen to what they had to say, learn so much, and we really appreciate it and the fact that you're interested in serving our county. So thank you very much.